Welcome back this afternoon. State lawmakers are ready to wrap up special session number 2. And with less than a week to go, it's crunch time and time to look forward to future elections. Our political reporter Josh Hinkle has an in-depth look.
If you're paying attention to Texas politics these days, you've probably seen the cover of the latest Texas Monthly. Some of the rising stars of the state's Democratic Party and talk of Texas may be turning blue someday. And we're joined today by Brian Sweeney of Texas Monthly. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So have you got some feedback on this article? I'm sure maybe Republicans have something to say about it.
We've gotten some feedback for sure. And as you say, maybe someday is the key question here with Texas turning blue. Yes, we've heard from readers of both sides. Some who are very delighted to see some new faces on the cover who maybe represent a new era of Democratic politics in Texas, and other people who have politely said, please cancel our subscription, we're not interested in that. But that's the way that it goes with most of our issues. This is an interesting story in the sense that I think it's trying to tap into all of these different elements that have been happening. We've had Battleground Texas arrive in the state and try to pump money and resources into the party. We've had obviously Wendy Davis's filibuster of the abortion bill, and so all of these events swirling together to ask the question, do Democrats have a chance? And I think that this is an article that looks at it in a very serious way, in a way that takes in the historical perspective of the Democratic Party, but also in a very skeptical way. If something like this is going to happen, it is a long uphill battle for that party.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the article, I mean, it's one of the better political articles, no matter which party you're in. Who's the author?
So Robert Draper, who is a longtime Texas Monthly writer. When I started at the magazine in the mid-90s, he was one of our full-time staff writers. He now does a lot of work for New York Times Sunday Magazine, but continues to write for us. We love it when he's in these pages. He's somebody who understands Texas politics as well as anybody. And one of the things that we really liked about having him involved is that he's based in Washington, D.C. He was also able to give us that perspective. Keep in mind that Battleground Texas, as it comes here, is really part of Obama's field operation. So he was able to have a foot in both worlds and sort of get interviews as to what is the D.C. component to this thing, the interest of the National Democratic Party in state politics here, but also to be on the ground with folks like the Castro brothers, Senator Davis, but also key Republicans, and talking to them about what do they think. There are some great points in here by Steve Ministeri, who's the chair of the state Republican Party, saying that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. The fact that they are here is actually exciting to us because it opens up resources for us, and it gives us even greater reasons to try to connect with Hispanic voters, which is one of his big pushes. I think in the same way that the Democratic Party is trying to change, the Republican Party also knows, because of these coming demographic changes, it also has to make adjustments to try to capture that voter bloc.
So you mentioned the Democratic Party, and I know that there hasn't been too much talk specifically about who's going to run for which statewide race. I think we had the former El Paso mayor,
John Cook, correct?
Yes,
that's right.
Are people kind of waiting to see where people fall? I know Wendy Davis, she has really become kind of a rising star in the Democratic Party since her abortion filibuster.
I think that's right. I mean, everybody has an opinion, and some people have two opinions, and so everybody that you talk to right now seems to have pretty plausible theories for who should run for what and why, and it runs the gamut. You have some people who are saying that of all of these emerging Democrats, none are quite ready to emerge in 2014, and maybe they ought to play it very, very, very cautiously as to who runs. And then there are other people who are making cases for running a full slate. U.S. Senate, which is a race that hasn't really been talked about, but certainly governor, lieutenant governor, and on down the line. I had a very interesting conversation last week with former San Antonio Mayor Henry Cisneros, and I was very interested to get his take on these things. Obviously, he's a supporter of the Castros. Julian is the mayor of San Antonio now, and he was saying that he thought that Julian would make an ideal candidate for governor in 2014, with perhaps Wendy Davis running for that second slot in lieutenant governor. We shall see.